Hey, everybody. So, welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. My name is Samantha. Look, do me a favor. Hit the like button, drop over in comments. Tell me who you are, where you're watching from. We have to talk about this. Folks, listen. Conservatives are in trouble. Our entire movement, the things we believe in, are in trouble. So, quite a few new people have joined us for the newsletters and the Zooms. How do you do that? You donate whatever you want, or the Lord tells you to. You add your email into the memo, and I sign you up for the newsletter and I invite you to Zooms. But I got a very disturbing comment from somebody. They're like, oh, I signed up because, I knew you were hurting and I just wanted to help a sister, but I don't know that I want to participate in the Zooms because I don't want to argue. She was Catholic. Argue about what? That's concerning because, see, our Zooms focus about the Constitution. Our Zooms are helping people group up by state to take territory back. It's not about religion. It's about community. It's about saving our country. But it is very concerning as a conservative to see the factions in the movement, and they're growing wider. Why is that? Well, because we have podcasters who are basically leading people down the wrong road. I think it's intentional. I did a video on it earlier. I watched a lot of people and I put together this amazing video today to discuss the Jewish people with you guys. I wanted to answer the question, why? Why do people hate the Jews so much? Why does the world hate the Jews? And they have for like all of eternity. Just go back through history. I mean, like, out of every type of person in the entirety of the world, the Jews have legitimately been hunted and killed in almost every country they've ever been in. Either they've been run out, they've been jailed, they've been put in ghettos. And Thomas Sowell and other people have tried to answer that question. Why does everyone hate the Jews? But see, they keep trying to ask it from a physical standpoint. Like, they want to make sense of it. And you cannot answer that question without answering the spiritual question that is there. Why do people hate Jews? All Jews, let's just be honest. Why are they hating the Jews and always have? Because Jehovah Jireh, the God of Abraham, he created everything. The Jews are his children. What does Satan try to do? Kill, steal, and destroy. Yeah. And Satan hates who? He hates God. So if you hated God, if you were a created spiritual being and you hated the God of the universe, who would you kill first? His children. And then you would kill those that are grafted in, the Christians. I cannot stress it enough to people that the Jews have been hounded through history. Maybe partially it's because they disobeyed God at times. I'll give that. A lot of times it was God allowing things to happen to get them to come back into living the way they were supposed to. But when I see people in the world so blatant with their dislike of the Jewish people as a whole, and for no reason, most of you have never met a Jew. I am willing to go out on that limb and say 90% of you have never actually met a Jew in person and had a conversation, a real conversation. They are just like you. You haven't, because there's only 15 million of them in a world of 8.5 billion people. Let that sink in. Yet people love to hate them. Why? Because Satan hates them. And he basically controls this world. So I'm going to say this, and I hope that the ones of you who are true, blood bought, spirit filled Christians take this to heart. If you hate the Jews, maybe you don't really love the God you think you love. Am I saying you can't disagree with them? No, absolutely not. I have said it 100 times on here. I don't necessarily like Israel's prime minister, Netanyahu. I don't really like the man. I am hearing from people that should know better. There are starving children in Gaza, Samantha. How could you? Are there starving children in Gaza? I'm sure there may be hungry children in Gaza. It's war. How many hostages are left? Do you guys know how many hostages Hamas still has? Anybody? There's a lot of people in this live right now. How many of you actually know how many hostages Hamas still has as of today in Gaza? How many of you know? Why don't you know that? Why don't you know that? You think you know that Israel's starving Gaza. You think you know what Israel's doing, but you don't know how many hostages Hamas still has in Gaza. You have totally just, that's okay, right? That's totally okay for these people to have been literally over there, starved, beaten, and assaulted for almost 2 years. No, it's only 20 alive. There are dead, so I guess maybe it is closer to 50. They still haven't even returned the body of the dead people. Let me tell you guys something. Starving children exhibit a range of physical and behavioral symptoms: weight loss, stunted growth, and a bloated stomach. Okay? Significant weight loss to the point that this is what a child, this is a 2.5-year-old in India. That is a 2.5-year-old in India. That is what starvation looks like. This is a 3-year-old in Ethiopia. That is what starvation looks like. This is a teenager in Syria. Do you see the dark circles under that? It looks like a fake vampire. You see what I'm saying? Look how deep set the eyes are. How the hair is thinning. The nose is very, very thin, very thin. There's no meat left in the mouth. The lips are sunken in. That is starvation. To hear people that should be able to do some research tell me that there are starving children in Gaza, shame on you. There may be hungry children, malnourished children, but why is that? Because you've not done your research. The UN was bringing all the food trucks in and they gave it to Hamas. Why would you give all of the food to the terrorist, folks. I mean, these are people that put Israeli babies in ovens and videotaped it. Why would you give them the food? Do you think that they're going to equally distribute it? Do you think that they're going to give it away? No. No, they sold it. And that was how they were funding some of the stuff that they continued to do. It's how they've been able to hold on. Because, see, if you live in the Gaza Strip right now, and Hamas is the only place that you can get the food, then you're stuck. You will starve if you don't bow the knee. So, what did President Donald Trump do? He started his own food service, his own group, his own nonprofit, and put 30 million United States dollars to feed Gaza. Guess what Hamas cannot do? They can't get their hands on the food anymore. People have to come to a checkpoint, line up, and physically retrieve the food. And you know what I've heard online since then? Now people are starving. They weren't starving 12 months ago. They weren't hungry 8 weeks ago. Just now. Just now that Hamas no longer has control of the food, are people hungry? Can you say propaganda? Any of you? The inability for you to see the truth is shocking to me. I understand why. A picture of a starving child will rip your heart out. But I'm not letting you off the hook this time. I am not. Because I had a woman that has made comments on my channel for almost 2 years make the comment under the last video I did on Candace Owen bashing Protestants, basically saying we came from Satan. She said, well, you know, Candace said there were people like you being paid. YouTube hadn't paid me in 4 months. My husband hasn't worked a full week in 5 weeks until this week. And my dog almost died Tuesday. Hey, Candace, you think maybe since I willingly talked about you for free, you could still mail me that $10,000 check, chick? So I blocked her. I was so mad. I told her to get the hell off my channel. And then I just went and blocked her because I don't have time for ignorance. Real talk. You either want the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, or you want your ears tickled. If that is you, you can go listen to the Candace Owens Cult podcast. It's not that I dislike her. I just know that her anti-Jewish sentiment is coming straight from hell. The New York Times clarifies starving child in Gaza needs medical care. So the New York Times had to backtrack on their little propaganda, and the libtards went crazy. And this lovely lady said, people are starving in Gaza. No, I've seen the food lines. I've seen fat people. How can you have fat people in Gaza under burqas, but everybody's starving? I'm not blind. They are starving because the Israeli government is not allowing enough food to enter. Really? Do y'all realize that they've brought enough food into Gaza in the last 5 weeks to feed everybody in Gaza for over a year? So where's the food going? Who has control of the food once it crosses the border? Oh, maybe it's Hamas when you see pictures of them riding on top of the food trucks with their guns. Yeah, maybe it's them. Then they said because food becomes sporadically available, can only be claimed by those willing to enter the death traps engineered by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, an American and Israeli-backed private food distribution system. which has only been in effect for about 6 weeks. So again, people are starving in Gaza, but that's what only been in the past 6 weeks. Now they're starving just in the past 6 weeks. The child that they threw up on the front of the New York Times has looked like that since birth. They go on to say here, Muhammad, according to his doctor, had pre-existing health problems affecting his brain and his muscle development. But his health deteriorated rapidly in recent months as it became increasingly difficult to find food and medical care. If the editors thought this would satisfy their right-wing critics, they were wrong. Hedge fund manager and aspiring tennis pro Bill Ackman is already suggesting that the state of Israel should bring a libel suit against the newspaper. The point of all this outrage is to confound and obscure a horror that cannot otherwise be denied. And an update from the newspaper would be, in that sense, be enough for anyone looking to quell a stirring of revulsion or guilt in whatever part of themselves remains connected to the project of being human. This is something the Times has always been counted on to sell to its readers, the opportunity to feel righteously informed while avoiding for a little longer the truth of what's happening. It is enough for them to keep thinking that sickness lives only in the body and not the soul. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. Liberalism is a disease. The liberal mindset is what it's called. Both people on the Democrat left-leaning side and Republicans on the right-leaning side have it. It is a disease. It is exactly, Truth Warrior. It is the battlefield of the mind. Let me clearly state this to you. I have 2 sons in the military. If Mexico raided the Texas-Mexican border and killed Americans the way Hamas killed those Jews, and there were still hostages alive in Mexico, I would fully expect the American government to do anything they had to get those released, because you do not leave someone behind. Now, again, do I think the Israeli government is like amazing? No. I mean, there's a shadow government right now in the American government. And I have done so many videos pointing out how the CIA has literally toppled entire countries and killed millions of innocent people under the guise of the American flag. But does that make all Americans bad? No. There is no other people in all of history that has been hunted, hated, hounded, and homeless but the Jews. And I will say it for the ones of you in the back one more time. Why is that? Because Satan was kicked out of heaven and he hates God, and God loves the Jews. So all of your little, well, you just don't know about the Israeli people blowing the American ship up, Samantha. You don't know about the starving children. They bombed the Catholic Church. I mean, they're horrible. They should bomb and not stop until every one of those people held hostage are given back. The reason the damage is so bad and has gone on so long is because people can't handle war. War is ugly. People don't survive it, folks. But those 20 innocent men being starved and beaten in Gaza right now would not be there if the entire world would leave Israel alone and let her go get her people. This crap would have been over and not near as many people would have perished. But all you bleeding hearts, you just can't. It's okay what Hamas did. I have heard so-called Christians okay what Hamas did because supposedly Israeli has an apartheid. That's the new thing. Israeli is full of people who are part of the apartheid. Really? Because I heard Roseanne Barr on this earlier today, and that isn't what she said. She said that isn't true. Like I said, I have a great video for y'all. I just decided I was going to handle some other stuff.
Honest, I love my fellow Jewish people, but
I don't like the evil ones.
No, and I think they're right. So I think that these people may have actually been wronged at some point. Maybe people like Candace, maybe people like
100%.
Tucker have actually been wronged by the wrong kind of Jew.
Oh, that's what
at
I'm
some
saying.
point.
Yeah.
And so then they just,
We all have.
they racistly cast, we all have at a certain level. They just racistly cast this blank brush on all of us. You know, like all Jews are exactly like this.
There's only one kind of Jew.
Yeah.
That's what they're
That's what
saying.
they say. And it's fucked up.
When they say the Jews instead of some Jews, or these criminals happen to be Jewish.
Right.
Like we never say the Christians.
No.
You can't make those kinds of statements.
No.
And
That's proof right there that you're off.
and it would be immoral to do
And
that
if
kind
you
of
say Israel did it, I mean, you never say Denmark did this.
Right.
But that's proof right there that they're fucking out of their minds and they're
100%.
compromised.
Or the U.S.
And it's so deeply offensive because it really, and I'm not a person who gets offended easily. I mean, like I'm a YouTuber. I get
Me too.
the worst comments every day sent to me. I don't get offended, but like that kind of shit really riles me up because it completely ignores my existence. It ignores everything my family went through, everything I'm doing to advocate for my people. I'm not rich. I don't know. My family never succeeded. They never became rich. We stayed baseline. We never got any money from any agencies.
Well, one in every 3 Israelis lives at poverty level.
Yeah, we never got any cabal money. We never got any string up to the top. And I promise you, it's not just because we're Mizrahi. It's because in general, that story didn't happen to Israel. Or for a lot of Israelis, it's not something that happened. You know, a lot of people in Israel are just suffering. They're just surviving, living generation after generation from war to war, but they're resilient as hell. I mean, these people, you know the number one...
Let that sink in. For all of eternity, through all of time, only one race of people have consistently been killed, murdered, it's unreal. And you guys will find a reason to okay it. 15 million of them in a world of 8.5 billion people. And you don't see a problem with that? You don't understand that I'm telling you the anti-Jew spirit is the Antichrist spirit, is the Hitler spirit? Do you not see it rising? Because Jesus is coming, friends. And he's a Jew, baby. He was a Jew. He is a Jew. Those are his people. And if you are his child, so are you. And Israel is not just a spiritual Israel. It is a physical place on a map. Now, I know it's not a popular position. But you guys that are on this, well, the Jews are bad and they did this, y'all would be the same people who would have turned a blind eye to what Hitler was doing to them. You cannot serve and love a God that came from Israel and the Jewish people and then throw his children to the wolves. If you don't like it, it's called unsubscribe. Because as for me and my house, we serve the God of Abraham. Again, I don't like Netanyahu, or however you want to say his name, and I don't agree with everything Israel does. But I do, and I will always bless Israel. It doesn't matter if Jews do not recognize Jesus. What does that have to do with the hill of beans? He died on the cross for them, like he died on the cross for me. And if you think different, you're the problem. 15 million of them in the entirety of the world, and y'all are going to go to bed thinking they're coming to eat you tonight. For the rest of you, Leslie and I will be setting up a Zoom very soon to talk about getting everybody in their state groups. That's coming. So I love you guys, but I don't want anybody to misunderstand where I stand. So don't like it. I don't care. What man thinks of me is not my business. Only thing I care about is what God thinks of me. And I promise you this, you cannot call yourself a Christian or a Catholic, let me clarify that, and be against the God that came legitimately from the Jewish people. Have a nice night, guys. Love you.